As the internet would say, it's Larsover. Kyle Larson, attempting to make history, attempting to become the second ever driver to complete the double, the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indianapolis 500, has once again not completed it. Last year, he completed all 500 miles of the Indianapolis 500. However, he missed the Coca-Cola 600 due to rain, and by the time he got there, the race was official because the rain from Indy had reached Charlotte. Well, this year, it's a different story. We once again had rain, had weather in Indianapolis. Kyle Larson's Indianapolis 500 start was supposed to start at 12:47 p.m. I don't think we got going until about 1:15. There was at least about a 30-minute delay to this race. And it wasn't a downpour like last year. It wasn't a washout, but it was enough that they had to delay the start of a drizzle, of a mist, of just a little bit of rain, but not enough to lose the track. So already flashbacks to 2024 in that sense. Larson started this race 19th. Of course, he qualified 21st, but thanks to the Penske cars being a little bit illegal, Larson ends up getting to start 19th. Well, as I said, there was a weather delay. They had a tight window that they had to fill in order to make it to Charlotte on time for Larson to make it to driver intros and start the Coca-Cola 600 and, get credit for that race. Well, the rain delay already took up a big chunk of that window. So now the race has to go normally. Can't afford a lot of cautions, can't afford a red flag at this point. And what do? Well, Scott McLaughlin decides to crash during the pace laps, by the way. Not even the race, the pace laps. Then we get to lap 1, or I should say it was like lap 4, because the few caution laps counted. So now we're on lap 4, the first green flag lap of the race. In turn 1, Marco Andretti is wrecking. So yes, we have this super tiny window for Larson to make the Coca-Cola 600, and they're wrecking. And they're wrecking a lot. And let me tell you how wacky this race was, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, in the first half of the Indianapolis 500, we had a car crash before the race even started. We had a lap 1, turn 1 incident, essentially. We had a driver run over his pit crew. We had a driver lose his brakes, drive into pit road, and in the process of going full speed into pit road, crash in pit road. And what else did we have? That's just right off the top of my head. This was a very wacky first half of the Indianapolis 500, all the things that happened. But as for Kyle Larson, as I said, back to Kyle Larson here. That's the main topic of this video. Started 19th, was running about 19th for the first run. Then the pit stop happens. They have a bad pit stop because Larson stalls the car out and they end up restarting last, essentially. Remember, there's already 2 cars out of this race, so he's running 31st. And he runs 31st for a good chunk of time. There's some alternate strategies going on. He makes his way up to 26th. They pit again under green flag conditions this time. And actually, that next run is when he started to make some progress. And he starts moving up a few positions. He's back into the top 20. He even gets up to 16th. It's lap 90. He's up to 16th. He's starting to get a feel for the car, starting to get some comfort, making some moves. And oh boy, there he goes. Yep, lap 92. Kyle Larson. Going into turn 2, off of a restart, he goes and wrecks himself and decides to take out a couple of the other drivers, including Stingray Robb. Such a cool name. But Kyle Larson, in his effort to complete 1,100 miles, barring, I think it's 180 laps of overtime at Charlotte, he will not complete those 1,100 miles. He only gets 230 miles, about, I think he did like 91.3 something laps, which I just rounded up to 92 to be nice, okay? But Kyle Larson, in his second ever Indianapolis 500 attempt, crashes out. The commentary talked about how he downshifted and that just caused him to lose the car. He ends up wrecking himself. Larson, after the incident, said that he was behind Takuma Sato and he was tight and then he was loose, and then the next thing he knew he was wrecking. Hated that he took out other people from his mistake. But Kyle Larson, the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion who is hoping to make history this weekend, will not have a shot at it heading into the Coca-Cola 600. Now Coca-Cola 600 is a crown jewel, and if he wins that, then that's still history, but obviously will not complete the 1,100 miles, which was the goal. Hendrick Motorsports, Arrow McLaren, Kyle Larson, their goal was to complete the 1,100 miles. And this year's May was a much rougher May than last year. Remember last year, everything actually went pretty smoothly outside of the weather and the one pit mistake, but Larson qualified in the top 6. He seemed really comfortable with the car. No incidents last year. He was running in the top 10 before he had his pit road penalty, and he ultimately finished 18th. This year was much, as I said, rougher. He crashed twice in practice. He ends up crashing out of the race. He qualifies 19th, or 21st really, and 19th thanks to a technicality, a penalty. It was a much tougher May than 2024's May. 2024's May is just highlighted because of the weather. Much more competitive last year. I don't know if it was just the hybrid, if it was just because the car was different. I really don't know why Kyle Larson seemed to be much more uncomfortable this year, but just something about this year was different. Crashing more, not as quick, and then ultimately he does not finish the race. But we have the Coca-Cola 600 tonight still, and Kyle Larson has a great shot at that. He starts second in that race, but history not quite made. We have the Coca-Cola 600 tonight. It'll probably be running as soon as this video's up because I got a tight, speaking of, tight windows like the Indy 500 to Charlotte thing, got my own tight window. I got to finish this video before the Coke 600, which, by the way, is on Amazon Prime Video tonight. Amazon Prime Video makes their debut in NASCAR for a Cup Series race, and it's for a crown jewel. And before you people start crying in the comments, you can have a 30-day free trial. Free! F-R-E-E, free! So please stop yelling, okay? You're getting free stuff. Free. You don't even need the full month for every race that they have. Anywho, I don't think me yelling at the people yelling are going to do anything, but Alex Palou won the Indianapolis 500. Good for him. Congratulations to him. It's his first ever Indianapolis 500 victory. This is the guy who's dominated the IndyCar series over the past few years. He had never won on an oval, though. Well, he wins on an oval in the most spectacular fashion at the Indianapolis 500. But race number 2 of our motorsport holiday complete, the Indianapolis 500, is done. Kyle Larson unfortunately crashed out. He can go for the Hendrick 830 now. I know 1100 was the goal, but 830, a nice 0 at the end of it, a nice full mile length. Kyle Larson for the Hendrick 830. Let's see if he can do it.